end of our meeting. I'd like to start this meeting off with public comment. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to a subject that is not on today's agenda? Seeing no one wave their hand, we'll move on to the agenda status report.
Why did we go mute?
Yeah, that's Jonathan.
One more time, Mr. Chair.
We're moving on to the agenda status report.
Agenda status report, item number 2 has been dropped from today's agenda and will be continued to the next NVAR meeting on the 25th or March 25th. March 25th.
I would recommend, Mr. Chair, just waiting until we get to that item to continue it, because I suspect that we might have a few public commenters on that, and we should at least give them the opportunity to speak on the request for continuance before doing so.
Okay, we can do that. Then with that said, Jonathan had emailed out in the previous package meeting minutes for December 17th, January 7th, and January 28th. The board, if they've had time to review those meeting minutes, and if so, do they have any comment or would like to make any changes or revisions to those meeting minutes?
I don't, this is for all of them?
Well, we'll start with the December 17th meeting.
The only one of significant, I don't have any changes, but to make sure that we have everything on the Thompson housing thing that we want, just to kind of give it a once over everybody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't see anything new that I need.
I mean, that was under conceptual review, so they may.
It may never come back either, I guess.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll come back in a different configuration.
Okay, here are the minutes for December 17th.
Let's go down to Thompson House.
Sure. With none of the members requiring additional comments on this, I'll ask for a motion now to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
I so move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Yep.
Perfect.
aye.
These meeting minutes have been approved. Moving now on to the meeting minutes for January 7th. I mean, it was an incredibly short meeting.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that, by the way.
Not a
Mr.
problem.
Chair,
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to revise is there weren't 15 people present.
Oh, my
that
goodness.
was carried on over to the last one.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Kevin.
can I be noted as abstaining on the last one because I wasn't present?
Oh, got it.
Thank you. So with the edit to the number of people present on the January 7th meeting, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion. We approve the January 7th minutes.
Second.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes for January 7th. have been approved.
Aye.
Did we have everyone there present?
Yeah, I think we were all there, except for Bobby.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to the January 28th meeting. I think those meeting minutes are incorrect. I think James was voted the chair.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I don't think so.
Okay, with that humor out of the way, again, short meeting.
Motion to approve
I'll
the
ask for a motion to approve these meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion. We approve the minutes from, was it January 28th?
Yes.
Yes. Second? That would be you, James. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I abstain again.
Because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Okay. And, so that approves the meeting minutes for January 28th. As there is nothing on the consent item today, we will do the NR members' informational briefings. Has anybody any contact with applicants, supervisors, or planning staff? As no one has not. Move on now to a staff update.
So maybe Shannon has something, but I heard you guys talking about the Village Inn. I've seen a lot of press about that. Looks very impressive going up. And just one thing I just want to acknowledge really quick is I'm sure a lot of people have, I think there's been a lot of press about it as well, but our very former planning, Fifth District Planning Commissioner, Dan Blau, who I know has come here quite a bit for, he's as well as a developer, passed away last weekend.
Oh,
And so we do already have another planning commission on board, but you know, Dan's kind of been on the planning commission for, you know, he's been on forever. And I certainly think brought a certain perspective to the commission that was is going to be missed.
Absolutely.
And I defer to Shannon if she has anything else to add.
Oh, that was great, David. I do have one thing to add since it just came up in discussion briefly. You talked about whether Perkins Place might be coming back or not to the board, and I can confirm that they applied for a pre-application under Senate Bill 330, which is like it's under the Housing Crisis Act, which means that they will only have to comply with objective standards, and you guys know from experience that what we have there is really limited. And it also limits the amount of hearings that they can go to 5, even for appeals and everything that we have to do to process them, basically. So it's unlikely that they will be returning, but they might. It's hard to say at this point. They might. I know they want to work with the public, and that's the thing. But then, you know, the county's also constrained by complying with that state law as far as how many hearings we can have them attend. So. That is my staff update.
Thank you very much. Moving on now to reconsideration of the COVID-19 emergency circumstances. With the removal of the mask mandate for interior spaces, are we going to go back to in-person meetings?
So there, I would consider them kind of they're related, but not necessarily. The end of the indoor mask mandatory mask does not. I think staff is still recommending that for the moment that our boards remain remote. Although that's certainly up to your choice, because the public health. Department has issued an updated memo. We can get that to you. Recommend social distancing. So we're still in the state ahead of emergency. So if the board would like to continue meeting remote, you still have that ability for the moment. We'll see where we are in a couple months, but I think for now it's up to you. If you'd like to remain remote, you can certainly choose to do so. That's why that's on the agenda, and we'll get you that updated memo.
and David, after the county says it's okay to come back, can we still be remote?
So there's there's a couple of options, Jim. So per the Brown Act, board members have always been able to be remote. With the big caveat that you have to kind of publish your location. So when we do come back, I did reserve the Betaravia hearing room. So there will be a separation between the board and the public, for example, and applicants. Also, but if there's some other accommodations that you'd like to discuss, we can do that privately.
Okay, I just feel like I do a better job this way.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that some people feel that way, but I think that there are equally a number of people who feel the opposite. So, I mean, that's why it's this is kind of, we bring it to the board for you guys to discuss and decide what the majority would like to do.
Okay.
I just got a text from Simon, from Bobby,
Mhm.
asking if someone can open his mic.
Oh, was that him on the attendee?
He must have called in.
Okay, so Jonathan, why don't you just hit allow to speak on our 2 telephone speakers? And then Bobby, you just need to hit *6 on your phone. So again, Bobby, if you're calling in via phone, you just have to hit *6 to unmute yourself. All right, well,
Hopefully you can figure that out soon.
So with that,
Maybe we could text him.
yeah, we'll tell him to. So I think what I'll ask for now is a motion until we get to take a look at the new county guidelines, or if they make any kind of decision for us. I'd like to ask for a motion to the board to continue the online meetings through our next meeting in March.
Do we fall in the time frame?
yeah, I believe so. It's
That's 30 days from today.
30.
I think it's even less because February isn't, 30 days. So yeah, we don't have to have a special meeting in between. So this will get it in March.
Well, I so move.
All those in favor of
But
continuing?
do we get a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, there's a launch. Hold on.
Nice one.
Oh, yeah, SpaceX 15
SpaceX,
after.
yeah.
They're going to land on a barge, though.
Yeah, but they're right over my house right now.
Oh,
Can I
Any-
really quickly for the minutes? I think Mr. King had seconded on that motion, but I didn't catch who was the first on it.
I think I was the first and Kevin was the second.
Yeah, I
Okay,
second.
thank you.
Welcome. Oh, I see it.
Well, I feel left out. It's super quiet here in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Well, yours
What a
is going to
launch.
be about 3 more minutes.
It's actually quite a launch. Good see the flame and everything out of that rocket.
I can hear it in Buellton and see it now too.
Yeah, my office is rattling. Still rattling.
Yeah, I'll continue when I feel safe.
I'm getting the rattle now.
Wow. That might be your new headphones. Okay, Steve, you okay?
I'm surviving, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's get going. My windows have stopped shaking. So with everything where we're at, looks like we're doing, I'll ask now for a vote on to maintain the online meetings through our meeting in March. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
All opposed, aye.
Was that all eyes or was that?
There was
last-
one, yeah, I'd like to go back to in-person meetings.
Okay, got it. I was confused by the eye after, no, okay,
Then nay, how's that?
that's perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Just before we move on, I just wanted to make note, like I know that I could see Bobby in the panelist list, but it doesn't look like he actually has a microphone connected. That's probably why he can't say anything. So Bobby, you might want to leave the meeting and try popping back in to see if that fixes it. Oh, I see he's connected via phone. Okay. John, would you ask to unmute? Because he still would have to hit start. Bobby, you probably still have to hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll just do him.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like he connected via phone, but he just needs to unmute himself.
Okay, well, I don't know how legal this is, but I asked Bobby if he wanted to continue with online meetings and he voted for in-person meetings.
Oh, okay.
So for you two. So with that being said, we will move on to item number 1 on today's standard agenda. VAR 22-00031, Valley View entrance gate and sign. If the applicant is ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself for the record, and we will begin.
And who will be presenting from this project?
Hi, yeah, my name is Chris Dufour with RM Design Group Landscape Architect. Also have Jason Blankenship on the ownership team, as well as Ken Chacon on civil engineering. Unclear if Shannon's going to do a staff intro on this or whether I should just kick it off.
I can, yeah. If you want to, it'd be great if we make you the host and then you pop the plans up, or we could do it on our end too. We have them.
Sure, I can share my screen.
Great, thank you. So what we're looking at today is the entrance monument sign and gated entry, and then also the pocket park in Valley View. There are some landscaping and design choices that we like you to take a look at. So Chris can go into the gate. I guess the biggest thing is there's actually 2 options presented to you. And so when they did a development agreement for Rice Ranch and land was dedicated to the county, there were like restrictions on what could be built in the designated open space. And there's not an easement for this wall at this point to extend into, open space. So we'd ask you to take a look at both designs in case the applicant is not able to secure an easement or if staff can't support the wall extending into open space. But I'll let Chris take it
Shannon,
from there.
I know I should know this, but which one is Valley View?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So you know where the majority of the trails are that go up the hill and yeah,
Is
thank
this
you.
the one recently reviewed?
Yes. Yeah,
the
it
architects
would have
from
been
Santa
about a
Barbara?
year ago. Yep. That's the one.
Okay. And
RRM's doing all the landscape design there.
this is on a road because the vicinity map doesn't really show anything.
Yeah, so it's right off Rice Ranch Road and then.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, roughly paralleled by, I think it's called Orchid Hill Road. It's the road that leads to the PCEC facilities. And so, yeah, directly west of the Pine Creek development and the Orchid Community Park.
So this is visible from Rice Ranch Road.
Yes. Yeah, the
How far
signage is.
Okay. I'll ask him later how far away it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing that, Chris. I'm glad you had the aerial ready.
You want me to take it from there?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So As she mentioned, this is we're bringing forward the entry monument for Valley View of Rice Ranch. In addition, there is a pocket park modification that includes a pavilion structure as part of the pocket park on lot 550 in the Valley View neighborhood as well. First, let's just go over the entry monument. As Valley View is got larger lots, it's kind of the estate lots on a higher elevation. We felt that it would be best to incorporate a larger scale for the entry monument. So while still in the same character of the Groves Rice Ranch monuments, we took it up a notch as far as the elevations, while still using the same materials of the stone and the stucco and the lettering and the character of the original neighborhood monuments. The gates will be operable on both sides by motors. There'll be a keypad and clicker for each of the residents to get in. The center structure located in this area is intended to be kind of a faux guard tower slash faux manned gate. It's essentially going to be an empty building where we could do storage at a later date. We may bring it back and discuss if we do want to do man gate, but at this time it's not going to be manned. As far as the flanks or the walls, Shannon is correct. We are trying to present a preferred option where we have kind of a symmetric design. However, this main portion here on the left side does extend from just about that portion out onto another parcel. So there's further communications and negotiations that need to make that happen. If in the event that we lose that argument or battle or negotiations, we would go for this alternative of above, where it basically does a double column on this end here. The walls themselves are proposing to have kind of a roughened stone similar to the Groves monuments, but sort of just a natural edge, roughened edge on the base with a stucco top. And then the lettering, we're proposing to call it the Preserves at Rice Ranch. All of this lettering is intended to be within the maximum amount of square footage allowed for the signing ordinance. We have a note here regarding the lighting. The lighting is intended to be backlit, as we understood that Groves was originally intended to do that, but now we're understanding that CCB on Groves is doing shepherd's hook lighting. So we're open to either option at this point. We want to be consistent. And the only other lighting we would be proposing would be some uplights at the columns and the center structure within the night sky ordinance, of course, though. Does staff want me to continue on into the park or just receive comments on these individually?
Mike, what do you think? Do you want to comment on the signs and then move to the park? Does that
Yeah,
make
I
sense?
do.
That'd be
That
easy.
makes sense. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I think at that point, this is a good interlude. Unless Jason wants to add anything more.
Good.
Hey, Chris, as part of the negotiations with the county, on that same plan, the site plan above, it looks like with the double column, the alternative elevation, aren't you encroaching on that space anyway?
I believe the property line is right on the other side, so we would be pushing it right up to the edge there.
So you'd make a pretty narrow archway.
It would be intended to bridge this portion here.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was just curious because I mean, looking at the scale of it, it looks like the column would be on the other side of the property line.
The intent would be to fit within this plan view.
I have some comments.
Okay.
If you do the bottom one, the one with well, first of all, one side is curved and the other side is straight. So it looks like it was designed conceptually on a flat property, and it isn't flat. And the left side is on about a 7-foot high hill, if I look back at the grading plan correctly. So it doesn't seem like it makes any sense to me. I mean, visually, to have a wall that's just on top of a hill. I mean, to me, it makes more sense to have a smaller one, like the alternate view. And then the ground drops away like about 7 feet. And that's my comment about the left side. Then on your alternate view, I think you need to work a little bit more on, it just seems like the arch is a very thin item to be putting between those two big columns. And maybe you could consider, just to throw it out, for instance, like a stone arch or something instead. I know you're trying to mimic the right side, but it's not a wall. It's kind of a monument thing. You know what I mean? And it's also very tall, 12 feet. The middle piece is supposed to be representing something that someone would be in. The door's 10 feet tall and the building has got a 12-foot plate. It's just about, to me, 25% too big. And then on the right side, the last 4 or 5 or 10 feet drops off 4 feet as well down, which needs to be thought about. And the question I have too is that a planter, the little round part in the middle with the two little, you've got a curved wall, big wall in the back, and then a little radiused wall in the front. Is that a planter?
Yes, the intent would be that this would be a lower wall set up with some low plantings in the front. Given that it's a lower height, it would be primarily just the stucco, same finish as the upper portion of the larger wall.
So you're going to backfill it with some dirt and stuff.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to make that wall out of? Is it going to be masonry?
I think at this point,
Oh, go ahead,
Sorry.
Chris.
we're looking towards masonry with the stone fronting and the backing it. So yes, rather than cast in place.
Yeah, because that would be a fortune. But it just seems a little too, it's massive. And particularly the middle part, if it's supposed to represent something a human would be in. I mean, the door's 10 feet tall. Also, you've got gates that have operators on the left side in front of all of your stuff. And you've got a planter where a gate opener is going to be, I think. I'd think a little bit about how to disguise them a little bit, if you could. On the
Sure.
right side, the openers are behind it, and then the left side, they're in front of it. Because they're,
Yeah, on the left side, you're right. There will be a visible gate opener. I think
yeah,
we would either propose to have either a landscape or potentially I suppose we could do a small column just to screen the gate opener on the visible side.
just show it in your elevation so you can figure out what you want to do with it. But it seems the scale is huge. And maybe that's the intent, but the columns are 12 feet tall. They're about 3 feet across, I think, square. But if I was you, I'd look at that upper one and do some revisions on the left side just to see if you can make something even cooler. But overall, it's very nice. It's just that the scale is huge.
Yeah, I believe the intent was to be able to create a archway that people can walk through, and that is sort of setting the stage for the scale.
No, I understand that on the walls, but you've got a thing in the middle that's supposed to represent a little guard hut thing, and the door's 10 feet tall. And by the way, what are you using, wood or something in that arch in the center where it's black?
Yeah.
Pull up so it would be something looking similar to this for the door. I don't know if that answers your question.
So you're going to do that on all 4 sides? Is that what you're going to do?
The other elevations would have a window with a similar wood squared off. And then the back elevation would have a similar door appearance, I believe.
Okay. Those are all of the questions that I had.
Yeah, I think this is Steve. I kind of concur with Jim there. I think there's a certain monumental scale that probably needs to be maybe made more to the human scale there. And it's when you read the elevation, I mean, I like the way the upper wall on the right-hand side slopes out, but it doesn't really, it looks like as if it was straight rather than the undulating pattern that that appears on the plan. And so if you have the wall on the opposite side, they're going to look very different when you read them from any distance. I like the lower elevation. I like the symmetry of that one. I think, just like Jim said, I think you need to just work on the scale a little bit, particularly with the center structure.
Chris, looking at the preliminary grading plan, so you're gonna build up where the wall and planter are. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's not gonna fall the way down the hill, it's just gonna get shorter.
Yeah, we're trying to develop the grading such that it seems symmetric and that the wall would not drop off down the slope.
Correct. Maybe you need to, maybe the angle of how the wall crosses the road or the gates cross the road might need to adjust a little bit to get the left-hand side to be a little bit more like the right-hand side. In other words, maybe that angle needs to change a few degrees or something.
If I understand you correctly, are you suggesting kind of cantering it forward like that? In a
I'm
straight
thinking
fashion?
I was thinking the opposite way,
Opposite way.
so that the gates and everything would adjust. Yeah, something, well, maybe not quite that much, but a little bit. Yeah, something more like that. And the gates would adjust with it. It's hard to kind of visualize this, but
Kind of like,
yeah, maybe a little bit more like that.
yeah,
The
I
road
think
you'd have to adjust the road a little bit as well.
the road is in.
Is it, yeah, I was gonna ask, is that roadway in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, never forget the comment then.
Chris, what's your call box gonna look like?
We're gonna have callbacks back at this location.
Yeah, is it gonna be masonry like the rest of it, or just a freestanding?
It's gonna be kind of a stone column with the receiver in the middle.
Okay.
It's gonna have the same stone as the monument. So do we want to move on to the pavilion, or is there further comments on this one?
The only other comment, I just had a curiosity, there's a turnaround in front. How much, what's the distance across there?
So
Can you
that's
really
a-
turn around?
That's a comment that Shannon had brought up earlier, and so Ken, our civil engineer, had brought up this as an alternative with fire.
That's
This
about a
is-
80 foot? Okay.
This is kind of late in the game as we were trying to get into you guys, so we weren't able to incorporate that. But this would be our proposal to accommodate the turnaround.
Looks very organic.
Yeah,
No,
there's-
that makes more sense.
I like that better.
Most definitely makes more sense. Where would the entry guard shack pavilion structure be located in this scenario?
So the monument's landing in this location here, and then the call box is here.
What about the simulated access control point?
It's
building?
after the gates, I think.
Oh. So that would be 80, 90 feet up the picture plane?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question. Sorry.
Well, the structure with the door and that sits between, that appeared to sit between the two gates.
Yeah, that would be in this location.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just isn't shown. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically, for fire code, they have to have this turnaround before the gate for anyone who can't actually enter, for them to safely leave. So fires will be, when we get the minor conditional use permit for this gated entry and sign, fire will be looking at this. And I know they're already consulting with fire on this,
Well,
but there has to be a turnaround of some sort there.
The gates would move back then further to be behind the turnaround? Or am I looking at it upside down? I guess I'm looking at it upside down. Never mind.
Well, yeah, it would be back a little bit further because, I mean, that lot that they're gonna do the grading on, that 543, it looks like everything is shifted down.
Yes. So if you pay attention to this little pork chop lot, in the original, the monument was deep into that lot. And this alternative, it's shifted back.
Okay.
And how far away from Rice Ranch is this, you think? A few hundred feet, like 100 yards?
Here's Rice Ranch Road here.
Yeah.
So by scale, I would say we're 400, 500 feet.
Okay. And are you doing any landscaping? Is there landscaping going to be on either side of it?
Yeah.
Or is it just native?
The parkways and the median are going to be landscaped as part of a separate plan set that's been reviewed, I believe.
So this entry gate kind of reveals itself to the person as they're driving down.
Yeah, and that was partly why we wanted to do the larger scale, was just to be visible more so from the road, given the distance setback.
Yeah, but having it reveal itself as you drive down the road isn't a bad thing either.
Yeah, it's a little like discovery, you know.
Yeah. Are there going to be any monuments at the road? You know?
Jason, maybe can answer that one.
Hi, gentlemen. Thanks for having the meeting with us. I know everybody's busy. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So, that's a good question. I think it would be great to have something there, but I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, to be candid. On the scale, just to get back to that, guys, we're building, all of our houses now are 10-foot plates and 8-foot doors. So that's in our house. So if you could extrapolate that, I know most of you are seasoned architects and you know all this, so I don't want to overspeak it, but it seems like just in my doors, I mean, I got 12-foot plates in some of the units now, but usually everything's 10 and 8. So outside, I know it sounds crazy to have a 10-foot door, but that's not that big considering it's outside. And you have that, I like what you're saying about, discovering it, but I think 8-foot might look too small, to be honest. But that's just my personal opinion. You guys are the bosses, and gals, and so I just want to be respectful to that. But, my in-laws live in a community and they have this kind of same setup and it does look good. So I think it's going to look rich. I actually think that the Groves gate is a little underwhelming. And they did stamped concrete over there and it's already fading and it's brand new. So I think this will actually fit the development, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents. But as far as the other monument at the front, it's probably a good idea to get someone to notice you out there. I just don't know what that's going to look like yet. I haven't really thought about that. I know it's a little bit further than I was thinking. But here's the Groves one. he's putting up now. But you approve this. It's nice. It's just, it seems a little underwhelming to me when you get there. Valley View is we're trying to command some good pricing. We have to now because lumber went up. My units went up 120,000 a door, and my lumber bill before was, like 100. So it doubled and plus. So we're trying to make this really nice. We'll see what happens.
Well, the Grove's, that wall is about 7 feet tall and yours is 12. So
Yeah,
I
we
still
have a
think the
structure
middle
in the
part's
middle.
about 25% too big. The other question I have is along the top of the wall. You've got a curved wall. Are you going to put anything on the top? One of the things, not a pet peeve, but just dirt hangs on the stucco if you're going to plaster it, and it's not going to be maintained. And I just want to know what you're going to do if you thought about the top of the wall at all.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I think, especially if you do a horizontal surface there,
Right.
sometimes when you do a rounded one, it can kind of help. We could also put a cap on there, whether it be a stone cap or like a brick cap. We don't want it to look like there's a bunch of dust accumulating there. As far as in particular, the stone, but rounded kind of is pretty nice. And it takes away that instant look of just dust sitting on a baseboard, right?
Yeah, and it's not just that, it's falling down the face, it rains, it comes down. So think about how you want to treat the top, and putting some kind of material up there might be the best solution, but
Right.
and it's curved too. So just think it through.
Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
Can I read through the comments on the wall, or sorry, did anyone else have additional comments on the wall?
I've got a text from Bobby saying that he likes the bigger one.
Okay. Okay, so then with the full design, the left side would come up on hill. I think we discovered that they would be grading there, so it would be.
It's about 7 feet high, the hill, as near as I could tell.
Okay, and then you had said that you prefer the alternative design for that reason, I think.
And next time when they come back to present it, show the elevations. It's not a straight line. Show what the ground's doing, because it drops away on both sides.
Understood.
Can I ask Chris a question? On the alternative elevation, you have the double columns on the left. Is there a reason you didn't repeat that on the right?
Mainly because the lettering was there, but as a option, I mean, we could here do
I think
something
that would help with the scale thing that people are talking about.
Trying to do some fancy blue beam work here.
I can never remember how to do that.
He's not playing ball with me. Oh, well. Yeah, I could see potentially shifting the lettering over and then providing a secondary column here. That was what I was trying to do.
And when you're
Fancy
doing your lettering too, remember that's a very curved, you've got a very curved, it's concave there quite a
It
bit.
is.
So to take that into account, it'll never be looked at that way.
There it goes. So that's what it would look like with that.
And then move your lettering down. And well, eventually, but it's almost 45-degree angle at that point.
Is that the preference of the group that we move towards a kind of a double column? Like that?
We want you to look at it,
Okay,
but take a look at that. What does that look like?
that would be kind of how it would end up.
The alternate to two double columns is to rethink the left side and the column structures over there. I think it's just that it seems a little bit weak. It's almost like a spider web between two big columns. If you know, I mean, how thick is that going to be? It's going to be like 8 inches thick or something over on the left side. Yeah, over there. If you just had it as it was before.
Yeah, I would want to have some girth to it. So
Yeah.
Structurally, we'd try and get at least 12 inches if we could, if more.
So almost like you're walking through it.
Yeah, understood. We don't want it to be paper thin.
Yeah, and then think about the top, if you're gonna, put some kind of cap on it or something, the little archy part.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be consistent with whatever treatment we did on the top here, whether that be rounded or stone cap. We would carry that through in that location.
I think it's a good start. You just need to think about how the ground elevation changes, and that one side is curved on the bottom, when one side is curved and one side is straight. It doesn't really read that way in your drawing because it's not even the same length. The right side is probably 50% longer than the left side, with taking the curve into effect, maybe 20% longer.
Yeah, it was a challenge to represent the elevation when it was on a curve.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, should I move on to the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So this one takes a little bit to load. Lot 550 of Valley View is the pocket park. I brought another plan that was the original landscape plan for this. It's rotated, I'd say clockwise, probably 45 degrees in this view. But the original pocket park is lawn area, small tot lot, some timber steps, picnic tables, and generally just ornamental landscaping around. So the goal here was to, in addition to the amenities that we're already providing in the park, provide an outdoor dining pavilion for the neighborhood guests. So we kind of reassembled the park components. We've got the same tot lot, smaller lawn area, but that helps with the water conservation these days. But then consistent on the outer landscaping. We did set this pavilion such that it was kind of located for views, as well as trying to keep it some distance away from the neighbors. This is an open space lot here, so we're kind of bordered up against open space, and then the backyard of another lot in that area. The actual pavilion, let me get to that sheet, is shown on this page here. We have an outdoor fireplace, a barbecue, sink, cooking facility area where it's just sort of bring your own, burgers and whatnot to cook on the outdoors. And then just sort of seating on the flanks of this, and then sort of bar style seating on the perimeter there. These would be open so that you can walk in from the outside. The materials will be consistent with the Rice Ranch neighborhood. This is kind of just sort of a design, basis of design kind of style, but the actual materials are going to be sort of conforming with Rice Ranch more so. Yeah, I'm just looking through my notes to see if I missed anything here. Jason, feel free to jump in if you have any additional comments.
I think I'm good, I think.
Yeah, just trying to stay within the existing park components and then provide the accessibility to the structure as well. There was a bit of a run that we needed to get the accessible path up to, so that helped put the location of this thing in this area. So with that, I'll open it up to questions or comments.
I have some questions. You're going to have exposed 2x wood sheeting underneath it. Is that kind of what you're, like that little photo? Is that what's underneath?
Yes, I believe so. I apologize. My architect wasn't able to make it today, so I'm fronting for him.
That's okay. There's 6 columns, so there's a 20-foot span. Are there big ridge beams and that sort of thing you're going to have in there? And are there trusses inside?
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna answer that, Chris, but yeah, we want kind of those big beam look.
Yeah.
And that's what we're kind of going for. And I think that's going to give it an architecture feature that's really open and really nice. And it's kind of a good touch. So that's what we're going for.
So those are going to be some pretty large timbers. Are you making it out of wood?
Yes, I think if you look at there's the clubhouse there that we just did. There's some of those kind of truss looking, beams, something like that. We haven't quite figured it out yet as far as exactly what we're using, but definitely wood. It'll be all wood.
Okay, so you're going to have pretty good size beams going from column to column, and then one across the middle as well, and then a post going up from the middle one, holding a ridge beam in the middle. Yeah, I think it's going to be nice. And there's a 70-inch TV I see.
At least. At Costco, you can buy an 86 now for not that much money, so we'll see.
You can sheathe roofs with it.
Yeah, there we go. There's solar panels too. They double down as solar panels.
Now you've got that I don't know what you call it, the post and the trussy looking thing on the end, but there isn't the 45-degree angled ones back on at the fireplace end, or do you think you want to put one back there too? It's just a little detail, but
yeah, honestly, I think we'll end up doing it. We're going to dress that ceiling up because it's really what your eye draws to, and so we're going to do more, not less. We want that to be a glowing feature in there. Those big beams, and
yeah. Next time, show us the backside too, and maybe a section through the middle or something. But I think it's going to be a nice place.
Thanks.
Oh, one other thing. It said stained fiber cement. There's a 2-foot deep. What are you trying to accomplish there? Is it supposed to look like a solid beam from one side to the other? Or is it going to be like siding on it?
I think the intent is solid beam.
Okay. I'm anxious to see it finished.
Yeah, this is Steve. I like what you've done with this too. It seems to be in concept with everything else out there, and the scale looks appropriate. And maybe the only thing I would suggest is maybe a little bit more of a extension on the eaves there. But it looks good to me too.
Oh, and then rafters. You're going to use large rafters, I assume.
Well, you're high fire.
Yeah, like at least six by.
Well, it looks like purlins.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me too. But in either event, it has to be either heavy timber or protected for the high fire.
I think it's going to be nice.
I agree.
For that one, just show elevation of the backside and middle, and maybe a middle section of pavilion when they come back. Like design overall, scale looks appropriate. Consider extension on eaves and must comply with high fire requirements. Does that sound like I got everything?
Sounds good to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Good. I think that covers the two elements that we were wanting to bring forward today. We'll be coming back with your approval. We'd like to come back for a final in-bar review where we can bring construction document level drawings for your review and have some of these things more ironed out.
All right. Well, it looks like you're conceptualized for you're agendized for conceptual review today.
Okay.
So these are just merely suggestions. But I think you can take those suggestions and with the work that you've already done, can certainly come back for preliminary. For one, while I agree with Jim most of the time, I like the scale of the gates as they are, as presented. I understand that it's going to be several yards off of Rice Ranch, and that you've got it. You're going into an elevated community type of thing where you've got taller plates, lots of elevation. So I appreciate the fact that you took that in consideration with your design of the gate. Like I said, Bobby texted that he likes the big one. I hope you are successful with the county to give it the look that you guys originally intended.
All right.
But again, you guys are agendized for conceptual. Where you take our suggestions is going to be up to you guys, and I will work with the planner to be agendized for a preliminary review. Do a little bit more work, do a little study, take the suggestions that were made, and come back with the additional elevations and the direction that you guys want to go.
And to add to this, so the gated entry requires a CUP, so it would go to the zoning, a minor conditional use permit. So it would go to the zoning administrator.
Right.
And then it could come back for prelim and, potentially final, but we can only look at it for conceptual until it goes to the zoning administrator.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
One thing I did want to point out on that drawing that's showing, you've got a red line down at the bottom on the bottom. That line actually is there. There's also one about 30 feet to the right is where it drops away near the street. So that's why I was concerned about it. Over
Back in
there.
front, there will be
Right.
a slope.
That's where the slope is.
There'll be a slope from adjacent to the walk that is in
Right.
front of this monument.
Right.
Okay. Well, we will move forward as directed, and we appreciate you guys' feedback on this.
Yeah, one comment I'd like to make, I know we have to go through the motions and go through the zoning part, but we might move a little bit quicker and listen to all your suggestions, because we do want to start, I know it's like every developer, we want to start that entry as soon as possible. So maybe if we show you enough next time and you like it, I just would like to get back to finals as quickly as possible, because if I wait another 2 months for final, and you know what I mean, it's just gonna be hard for me to hit this market, and that's my fault, and we should have been to you sooner, but I'm just putting that on record to see if there's any possibility to try to push it a little bit quicker through the process. Thank you.
I mean, part of this will be that you'll submit building planning, grading plans, all that stuff too. So
Correct.
work with your planner. Select the direction you guys want to go to, work with the county as far as the easement is concerned, and then come back to us as quickly as you can. After, now Shannon, would the director just look at it and all by himself or herself?
For determining the easement,
Yes.
you mean? Oh, that has to go to planning.
the
Isn't
full-
involved in that. It goes to real property.
Yeah.
And then they probably have to amend the development agreement. I'm not sure exactly how the process would work.
Well, maybe that these guys want to take that into consideration, the timeline that it's going to be
Right.
added going through that process.
But as far as the ZA approval, then is that a comprehensive analysis, or is that just a brief study and letter or something like that?
It's a pretty brief staff report for something like this. I mean, not too long.
So that could happen relatively
Quickly, but like there's also the issue of there's a specific condition of approval about not putting any structural development in the designated open space. And so like that grading that they're proposing outside where the wall would extend, and the structure itself, they weren't analyzed in the EIR. And there's sensitive habitat right there. So I don't know that even if they could get an easement that it would be supportable. These are conversations we've had already, but that's kind of the, for the zoning administrative report, I don't know that we could support that option, but we could support the option that's abbreviated.
In other words, the upper of the two elevations, the alternate elevation, would be a more fast track process.
Yeah, definitely. It wouldn't require additional environmental review. And it wouldn't require the easement. So those are kind of the considerations that are in play at the moment. And then obviously like fire needs to approve the turnaround, which, you know, they are in the loop. So
There is a possibility that Jason could phase this if we added a column here and added a column here. If you build this portion originally and then as approvals and agreements come on to play, then the wing gets built later, potentially.
that's a good point, Chris. That's a possibility too.
One other comment, if you do some grading over there, that was very civil engineering kind of grading. If you could make it look more natural and instead of as abrupt and squared off as that is.
I can work with Ken on that, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the way that civils like to do it.
Is that a new term?
Civilly?
Civilly.
Civilly? Yeah. I like that.
Exactly. That's squared off and spit spot.
That's not civil.
Very good response. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I know you guys work hard. Thank you. And Shannon, thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jason. Thank you, Chris and Ken.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Given our earlier conversation, moving on to MR item number 2, 21 VAR 00232. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on this item?
So, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. So I think that we had a couple, like at least one person join, I think after our agenda status report. So I just want to briefly just mention that for anyone who's just joining us recently, item number 2, the East Cork SBOPCO LLC Cannabis Retail Storefront. Last night, staff did receive a request for a continuance to the March 25th hearing. I believe that the planner, Ray Montano, did send an email to those on her interested parties list. But I know that there must be people who received the mail notice who aren't on that. But the request is for continuance to the next NBAR meeting on March 25th. I think what the chair is asking is if there's any comments on that. And so I know that, Jonathan, that we have a couple of telephone speakers. I think that when we thought they may have been Bobby, you unmuted them. So maybe we should start with Mr. Chair, the Sarah Strawman, and to see if what item she's here to speak with. I'll go ahead and unmute her. Ms. Strawman, can you hear us? Looks like you are unmuted, but I'm not sure if you have your microphone hooked up. We also do have 2 members of the public joining us via telephone. If your phone numbers end in 106 and lower, oh, it's 106. Hit *6 on your phone to unmute yourself.
Is this any better?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for affording me an opportunity to speak. And my apologies already if I'm a little naive to what is already happening, what's in the works, what's happened, and what's in the plans. In my current understanding, as I am a stay-at-home mother, I have the little minion on me. So some of this has been audible, some of this has been inaudible. So that's my disclaimer here. What I understand that I'm speaking on, or what we're at, is the signage for the cannabis, proposed cannabis storefront off of Clark Avenue. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. My curious nature is that my thought was that that building and that the business, the retail cannabis business was not approved. So I'm confused, or you could correct me at that standpoint. Is it approved or not?
I'm not sure if our project planner is online here. Can you double check, Jonathan?
Mm-hmm.
She's
I
not.
can also take a look at the agenda and try and discern what the status is based on that, if that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Because that would be my first question. I'd like to know if the cannabis business was approved or not. Because if we're talking about a signage for a business that doesn't exist, that seems like we're putting the cart before the horse.
Let's see. Yeah, I can appreciate that. Let me just take a look at our permit tracking history. I don't work on any of the cannabis, so I'm very much out of the loop, but I can probably figure out.
No worries.
If
And
not,
I appreciate again. Yes, go on.
no problem.
While Shannon is attempting to look that up, I'm not sure, just for the record, could you state what your name is?
Sarah Strawman.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
and just for the record, Ms. Drummond, as the Architectural Review Board for North County, we aren't, we don't decide uses and approvals on the use side. We are just looking at the aesthetic of what the sign is to make sure it's in conformance with the sign ordinance and things like that, color, appearance. So you're
Okay, and that makes sense.
Mr. Chair, maybe just
Do we do this for all proposed businesses? Go through this depth and length,
yes.
even when they're not approved?
So projects come conceptually before they're approved, and then it depends on the type of project. So there's kind of two main tiers, discretionary and ministerial. So this was a land use permit. I just found the record and it's loading. Let's see. So the actual business, the land use permit for the business, has not been issued or approved. So, but because it's a
Okay, so
land
the
use
land
permit,
use-
it can come for BAR approval before that approval. If it were a discretionary project, it couldn't. So that's why it's before the board for prelim and final, but the land use permit itself has not been approved.
Okay, so just and again, thank you for humoring me, as I am clearly naive to many of these items that you're educating me on. Thank you. So it sounds like we can still go through this architectural review of the signage, though the actual business has not been permitted at this point, correct?
Yes,
And
that's
where
correct.
we are today, just looking at what that might look like.
Yep, that's it. And so when it comes back in March, or it'll just be the signage, but not this board is not overseeing anything related to the actual approval of the business, just the
Separate items.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And we're looking at tabling then what this proposed signage would look like come March 25th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then I think I will try to join you March 25th. I have no problems with that.
thank you so much. I appreciate the comments. It looks like we had someone else join the meeting. Beth Chamberlain, did you wish to speak on the on this item?
If you could unmute yourself, possibly.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. I just was able to come in. I'm kind of on a break at work and I thought I'd come in on this. I opposed this whole idea in the first place. And the way of marketing or the signage, how it looks is kind of, it's more what it's going to say that concerns me than how it looks. And what it's advertising and how it's advertising. And what it's advertising.
Okay. I think that, you know, I'm not sure if you came in after we were talking.
I did. I probably out of sync with what's going on. I just, I was kind of thought I was eavesdropping.
Oh, no. So, you know, I think that we'll go into a little bit more detail, or a lot more detail on the 25th because the applicant.
Okay.
So we'll
Okay.
go, and then so everyone, if you're able to join us on that date, the applicant will be there and the planner will be there, and they can hear your comments as well. I think right now we're just discussing the actual request to continue the item.
Okay, well, they asked me if I opposed it. I oppose it. And if you're thinking about signage, just make it as tiny and non-seeable or as you can, if they're going to be there. Anyway, that's my sarcastic view of this. And I apologize if that's not appropriate, but it is a concern. This is a deep concern of mine and of others in our community. But thank you for your time.
I appreciate you taking time off of your busy day to come and join us today.
And thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Mr. Chair, I believe that Ms. Chamberlain was our last speaker.
Then we will discuss this further on the 25th. I'll ask now for a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
So hold on. I think we need, before we make a motion to close the meeting, we need a motion to the item.
So approve the continuance of this item.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve the continuance of this item to the March 25th meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Bobby says aye. Then now I'll ask for a motion to close today's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good. Have a great weekend, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thank you.